diagnose illnesses. I'm not going to do that. You've got a doctor, and I say, you go to your doctor, and you see your doctor, and you do what you have to do there. And then your job is to come back and see what you do in the periphery around that, and work out a plan of working cohesively with your doctors and your own interior. Because illness tends to make you reflect inwardly. That's the thing about illness. It gives you that shape. So working with that, you start to work with, well, what's going on in the family? Then we would jump up to the second centre. Well, there's that conflict. It's one-on-one relationships with this dynamic competition. Okay? So we have a very competitive, and we're angry. And so we've been firing bullets at each other. So you follow where the bullets go. So you see how the picture starts to emerge up? How did that make her feel? It made her feel like she was not acceptable. And low self-esteem, her esteem would just plummet down. And then she would have this insatiable need to be right about that, whatever she was interacting with, because that was her self-esteem on lead. So we hadn't even gone out of the physical body by this stage. We had only just covered those first elements of her, because then we had to go into the fourth centre, which was her feelings on this, the heart of the matter. And as we worked up, but I wouldn't explain that to her. It would just come through this whole process with spirit, would just bring us through in like a pattern that she could follow. And she would go away and she would start the work. And then when she had reached that point where it was stagnating again, she would come back and say, okay, I've kind of looked at that and I've been addressing this, and this has sort of been unfolding, now let's work with that. So this is the sort of pattern that was going on. And all the time I was unpicking it and learning all the time through this. But more than that, your body started to vibrationally speak to me. So as I would put my hands on you, I would get like a frequency. And it wouldn't be a picture so much to begin with. It was a frequency. These days, I say my ear is an antenna. And as I work with you, my head starts to, it just moves. And it's like, as it moves, it will pick up a frequency of an organ, perhaps. And there's a change in that frequency. We're losing some energy here, or there's a grey mass in this area, or wherever it may be sitting. And so I know that's my cue to stop. And then, I don't think we've ever been taught this, but your body speaks to you in every minute of your life and in every part of you. And it's the reactions that you don't listen to. It's the pain that you feel. That's its language. So we just stopped listening to the language of the body, and we started listening to our head that gave us the reasons, how we could reason with that or just ignore it. So the body has its own particular language, and the chakra system literally is like that filing cabinet in your computer. And all of the data from the youngest memory to the present moment is contained in each of those chips. And it's the memory that you react to in those chips. It's not the event, because the event is no longer there. So you start to see this and you look at it and you say, my life is running on memory power. Because every time I'm in this situation, I flip down, I go back into my file, my memory chip, I bring a memory back, and then that speaks to me and determines how I'm going to act in the moment. And when you look at it and start to really unpick that, you start to realise, I create my own reality? No, my memories and my history create this reality. Because that's the framework that has the voice in today. And so I started to see a composite. 4 bodies. I would say, okay, I'm in the physical body. Yeah, that's your body, that's your organs, your blood, your hair, your skin. That's my information that's available to all people. That's public. That's your public file. I even have a file on my laptop that says public file. I thought that was high humour. Okay, public information, right? Physical body is public information. Because you all can see what I look like and my behaviour. You can make an assumption on what you think of me by the way you see me and perceive me in relationship to your past experiences and history with everyone who looks like that kind of dynamic. You get what I'm saying? Public information. And then it was like, but how I feel about me, well, you don't know that. You might get a sense of it because my public information may make me look like I'm a mouse and I'm shy. Or I may be overcompensating and be loud. But how I actually feel about myself, you're not going to get that information unless you actually come up to me and start speaking to me. So that became the emotional body, which is so huge. And I ordered that from heart to throat. Okay? Because how I feel makes me take action. Okay? I feel, I take an action. So these two work hand in hand. You can't separate them. And then everywhere I'm going, and I'm saying everywhere I am going, I'm hearing from all these beautiful souls, I create my own reality. Affirmations, abundance, that's mind. And it's mind games. And we will really explore that one because the reality is, it's the memories contained in the reactor chip that's creating your reality today, not your mind and what you want in that moment. So I started to see from here up, and that was the mind, the perception was in this area here. And then they said, now, in order to put this blueprint together, we have to jump up to the spirit realm, invisible spirit. We have to look at our belief in life and death, reincarnation, life after death. They've always been part of the culture, but we've tended to put them to the side and pay attention to what we can see here. And that was for somebody else, like the churches or the ministers and stuff like that, to take care of that level of business for us. Right? So if we wanted to talk to God, then we would go and speak to someone who had authority in that area, rather than checking in with ourselves. So we had a system that was taking that force out of us. But then you have mediums. Now mediums come in and they say to you, well, I'm sorry, let's just reorder your reality a little bit. Because, what was your name? I've got a gentleman here. And he says, here looks like this, or I can see a picture of this, or he's taking me into your childhood here. And they start to draw a map and you look like that, like, how could she know that there was a nurse in my family? I haven't said anything, she doesn't know me. Maybe we do live. But what do we... Is it the same as where we are here? What's the difference between life after death and life in life? So we tended to order life after death to match life that we were living in life. Right? Because we had to understand it. Now, New Age philosophy started to come in and say, do you really think that a divine creative force that is timeless, ageless, it can never be defined? It's indefinable. It's ultimate source. It's untangible, and yet it's so tangible. We all have a belief. Have you ever met an atheist in a crisis? Where did they go? First step. Oh, you better help me. What? I mean, I find that really funny. I don't believe in that. Really? Well, I then heard a story of a man who didn't believe in it. He was trapped and he couldn't get out. The first thing he's going to, as this person is trying to open the doors, was he was screaming, God help me. But the person was standing in front of him, and that was the person